So welcome back to my channel. This is Dom and the start of this battle, this Black Powder Napoleonics game that I posted about last week. Now, lots of lovely comments about people wanting to see the result, but very few actual instructions. You're supposed to tell me, guys, what you want me to do. I know not everyone plays Black Powder, but that's fine. You kind of still can give me some idea of tactics of what you want to broadly achieve with different divisions or brigades. Pretty much so. The only instructions I got were for the Russians and Prussians. In fact, they were the only instructions I got. So I'm going to have to wing it. So reminder, the scenario was that the combined Prussian and Russian forces have to hold the crossing point behind that village for a minor victory, and if they can, capture this French-held village here for a major victory. The French, in their turn, will come on from the edge I'm on at the moment and have to move towards capturing that crossing point for a victory. There are 4 French and Allied brigades, 2 French, 1 Neapolitan and 1 Württemberg. And then on the defensive side, the Prussians are already deployed on the table, 1 brigade already deployed. The first of 2 Russian brigades will come on the far table or far edge from turn 2, and the second one from turn 3, all subject to normal Black Powder command orders. So, as I say, I'm going to have to wing it a bit with French because nobody gave me any French instructions. So I did say that half the French will come on turn 1, and the other half on turn 2, assuming they pass their command rolls, etc. So we're going to start out. I'm going to start out and say that I'm going to bring on the Neapolitans. Not that I'm using them as cannon fodder, but I'm using them as cannon fodder. So they are going to come on to the right of centre and move forward as far as they possibly can. They are going to do it as a brigade order. Yeah, what am I going to do with the cannons? Yeah, the infantry coming on as a brigade order. Their commander is 7. They are all going to be in column, which gives them a command rating of 8. And I've rolled a 5. So that is actually 3 moves. So I shall move them on. So there they go. The Neapolitan infantry have raced forward 3 moves. They're a bit slowed by the combination of the ploughed field and the forest, but still have come on quite nicely. The artillery had to be diced for separately because they weren't doing the same thing. They were going to do 2 moves and unlimber on this hill that's here. It's a wooded hill. But they only got 1 move, so they're sort of working their way through the ploughed field. So the next will be one of the French brigades. I think is going to come on the left-hand side of the line for the French. So they have, yes, they're all infantry with a couple of guns. So I think what we're going to do is push them forward maximum distance as a brigade order, so all together. Rolled a 6, which their command is 8, but they're also going to be in columns, so that gives them 3 moves. So there you go, the French attack columns have rushed forward 3 moves, again slowed by the hedges here, but now sort of moving up a pace. The guns have gone with them because they're going to try and unlimber on the hill that these guys are just riding up on. So they have nothing to shoot at. In fact, I don't think they can be seen at the moment. Well, they'll probably be possibly seen. This column probably can be seen, but they're outside of their own musket range at the moment. Their cannons aren't deployed. Cannons aren't deployed on this side either, and I don't think these are in range even to fire 1 shot. No, they're not. So out of range, so that is the end of the French turn 1. Pretty successful. Well, they've got two columns on the table, or 2 brigades on the table, who've moved forward at maximum speed. So we'll pass over to the Allies. So over on the Prussian side of the table, they have no reinforcements this turn. The 1st Russian Brigade will come on turn 2. I don't think there's really much point at the moment redeploying anything. We'll see. It may be a mistake, but we'll see how it goes. But I think for the moment they're going to stay exactly where they are. There was no instructions. Lupus suggested I throw forward skirmish screens. Skirmishers don't really work that effectively in black powder, so I'm not sure that necessarily is going to work for the Prussians. And so I think what they'll just do is hang back exactly as they are. See whether this cannon has got a fair shot down the line. The hill's there. From the middle. Just about clips that target there, that column. So it's only going to be 1 dice anyway. We'll give them partial protection because of the dead ground there. So artillery firing here would probably just be well, it will be at medium range, medium long range, which is only 1 dice. It'll be a 4 basic, long range 5, and I'm going to say they're partially obscured. 6 is to hit. So just a 6. And rolls a 2. So that is a miss. First whiff of gunpowder. No effect, and I'm pretty sure, well, obviously they were out of range one way, so they must be out of range the other. So that's a very quick Prussian turn 1. We'll return to French turn 2. Okay, so it's turn 2. Let's start with the Neapolitans over here. So I think first order is the artillery. We're going to try and move them forward. Probably going to need 2 moves because maybe just 1 move will be enough. Yeah, 1 move and unlimber in the woods there. It's going to need 2 moves for that. Throwing a 7. They are okay. So this is where the Neapolitans don't come in so well. So their command rating is 7. But a draw because they're unreliable is a failure, so that means that command would fail. I'm going to take a reroll. Whoops, cock dice, and that is a 6, which is 1 move. So this guns will move up onto the hillside here. Just move that tree slightly. They haven't managed to unlimber yet though, but at least they're in position. And then the attack columns over here. So we've got the Commander-in-Chief is on the table here. I forgot to point him out earlier. So that's why they're taking the CNC reroll. The columns. So it's over 18 inches, so it's 2 moves towards the village. I think what we're going to do is we're going to try. We're going to go right in for the kill straight off the bat. So I am ordering this centre battalion to charge the village in column, and the 2 outside of it to provide support. So that's a brigade order for those. They are, as you know, 7, get +1 because they're in attack column, and throwed 7. So that goes down to a 6, which is just the 1 move. But it's still a pass. So they pile forward. Whoops. So there. Those move forward, and the other remaining battalion. Let's move around here so you can see it better. The other remaining battalion, I think he's going to do 1 move, form into line, and then if he gets another move forward again. Rolls a 7, gets +1 because in attack order, so all he does is the 1 move. So that was all pretty pointless. He ends up exactly with the other one as well. So the whole, well, the Neapolitans are going forward, and that's kind of important at this stage of the game. Right, the other brigade over here. I think they need to try and cut the supply line. So I think they're just going to, the infantry alone are going to advance, sort of angling that way, I think, is what they'll try and do. Let's see what they managed to roll. How far away are we actually from, sort of measure this, because potentially they could go an awful long way. It's only 24 inches to that Portuguese brigade, battalion, Portuguese. It's only 24 centimetres to that, 24 inches to that Prussian brigade there, or battalion there. Do we want to charge that straight off the bat? Yeah, let's do that. Okay, so change of orders. These two battalions will try and rush forward and attack that Prussian battalion in the river there. Rolled a 6. They get +1 because they're +2 because they have pas de charge, which basically gives them 3 moves. Wow, could be a very quick game. So this lot pile into that formation there. So they're supported by the other battalion, and then the other 2 brigades, I think battalions, we're going to push up as fast as they can as well. They rolled an 8, which gives them a net of 6, which is 2 orders. 24 inches. Basically, we'll get them up to the edge of the river there, because that's difficult terrain, so that will slow them down once they get to that point. There we go. And then finally, over on this flank, for the moment, the cannons will advance 1 move and unlimber. They failed. They do an 11. So they're unable to move. That they don't get the pas de charge benefit or anything like that. So that basically means they don't move. And because you re-rolled on the Neapolitan artillery, they don't even have a re-roll. Okay, so that's the deployed troops. We've got the other 2 brigades to come on. So I think what we're going to do with that, the second French brigade is going to come straight up behind this one. Try and support them as best we can. Let's roll the dice. Rolled a 9. Now normally that would be a failure, but French in pas de charge brings it down to a 7, which is 1 order. Okay, so they all moved on 1 move. The artillery would have to operate separately because they can't get the benefit of column. They rolled an 8, which is 1 move. So they will come on, I think, beside the artillery here, beside the infantry here, and form up. So that is that brigade fully deployed. And then I think the Württembergers, what to do? I think they're going to come up basically middle right. They have a level 8 commander. So let's see what they can roll. They rolled an 11, so they failed to come on this turn. Well, that's not a big problem. Not a big problem at all. So we'll move on to the shooting. I'll just knock that figure over. We have basically the 3 columns here, 1, 2 and 3 will have to fire at the built up area, I think. And that column, oh, listen to the rain. This column on the end could fire at the guns, or it could fire at the column. I'll come back to that in a minute. So 3 shots anyway with the columns against the cover. It's 4s to hit. No, just 4s to hit, because it's not long range or anything like that. 1 hit. So saving throw for the I keep saying Portuguese, the Prussians in the village would be a 4, but goes up to 6 because they are in a built-up area. They rolled a 2, so they're fine. Well, basically the other way around. It's anything but a 1 would have been a failure. So that's fine. Then the other Neapolitan column will fire at the artillery. Never know, might get a disorder. It's going to be 4 skirmish order, because artillery count a skirmish order makes it 5s to hit, and actually hits, rolls a 5. So the artillery will save on a 4, and they saved it. So no effect there, but they at least got their ranging shots in. Over on the other side, I think we have the Prussian defenders firing at the against the French column coming in. They get 3 shots. It will be 3s to hit, down to 4 because they are disordered. 4s to hit. That's 2 hits, including 1 disorder on the French column. So the column is saving on a 4, but goes up to a 6 because it is passe de charge. So that is 1 hit. 1 hit goes through. So the column takes a wound and is disordered. That could make a bit of a difference for the combat to come. Oops. That's all the French shooting, I think. The other column over there can't support the shooting, so we're into melee. Into melee on turn 2. Wow. So first up, we've got French column going in. We'll get 6 dice, and the Prussians defending will get 6 dice as well. The French will be charging, will be hitting on a 4 down to a 3 because they're charging, but back up to a 4 because now they're disordered. Yeah, so 4s to hit for them. They got 4 hits. 4 hits on the Portuguese, on the Prussians. Prussians fighting back are hitting on 5s because they're disordered, because they're in the hedgerow there. That's 2 hits for them. So 2 on the French. They get +1 for being in column, so they're saving on a 5. So they're both saved. No, the other way around. I keep doing this. They needed a 4, which went down to 3, so they lost 1. They lost by 1. We'll put a dice there to denote they lost by 1. The Prussians were hit 4 times. They're saving on a 4, but they go down to a 3 because they get protection from the hedge line there. They only suffer 1 as well, so that is a 1-on-1. Okay, so the upshot of that is it was 1 wound on both. The French are supported by that other column, gives them +1, which evens out the casualty. Now the Prussians can be supported by the village. Village can't be supported itself, but I believe, actually probably the column in the river there is fine as well. So they're supported once as well, so it actually ends up as a complete draw. Both sides stay locked in, no need for any tests because they've only suffered 1 wound each. So that will continue next turn with no overall advantage to either side, which is interesting. So we will move on to Portuguese. We'll move on to Allied turn 2 next. So we're going to start on the Russian-Prussian side of the field here with an activation roll for the support. So the So the one of the instructions from some of the viewers, or one of the viewers, was that the order of march for the Russians should be the Grenadiers first, followed by the other one, and that they wanted them to come on the right hand side to hold this hedge line, which is probably a good thing because there's quite a lot of Frenchies about to come this way. So the Portuguese, I keep saying this, so the Russians have a command rating of 8. They will attempt to move forward from the edge of the table and basically get up to this side of the hedge. I think that's what they'll aim to do. We'll just move the infantry for now. Let's see what they do. Oh, they rode a 4. A 4 is going to be 3 moves. They don't need 3 moves, so they'll just move the 2 moves that they needed. I might as well, while I'm here, with the dice roll for the artillery. The artillery, I think, will try and move 1 move and unlimber on this hill here, which they roll an 8, which moves them 1 move. So they don't get to unlimber, but they do come on. I'll be back when I've moved everything on. Okay, so I just realised I made a bit of a mistake because the Russians can't do brigade orders unless they're from the same regiment. These Grenadiers are not, so I took the artillery roll for the 2nd Grenadier Battalion. Only moved the 1 move, obviously. And then the Jaeger Battalion we're going to try and bring up, I think on the right hand side of the Pavlovs there. Rolled a 7, so that's 1 move for them. There we go. And then the artillery will try and do what I said, which is to bring them up and unlimber them on this hill. Just move those over a bit, just in the off chance that they do actually manage to roll this. So, reminder, I'm playing these as Jaegers because there's not an awful lot of difference looking wise of Jaegers. So the artillery need 2 moves and they get it. Okay. Oh no, they don't. No, they only get 1 move. Sorry. Miscounted. So they will move up there. And there you go. That is the Russian reinforcements coming on. Put the commander down. So over on this flank, the Prussians, what to do here? Well, they're locked in combat. There's nothing anybody can do there. The guys behind are supporting them, so they don't want to do anything. I feel the guns are going to be under threat in a minute over on this flank. What to do? Not an awful lot of room. What I could do is pull the guns. I'm going to retire the guns 1 move back and to the left a bit to make room for that other Prussian battalion to move in. They rolled an 8. That is 1 move, so that's fine. So they move back to there. They're slowed anyway by all the cover, and then I just don't want to make it easy for the Neapolitans to charge those guns, and that will slow their progress a little bit. And then I think we'll just straighten up with the Prussian battalion that's here, move them forward just to there to provide some support. I would put them into line, but the trouble is they would then block the guns, and I don't want to do that just now. So we'll move forward to the firing. Okay, let's start with the guns. They are light battery. It's a light battery. That's their closest target. They've pulled back out of effective range, which is slightly annoying, but I think it was better to do that. So they'll only get 1 dice. They are hitting on a 4, down to a 5 because of range, but they get 1 back because they're firing on a column. But they still miss. So much for that. The Prussian muskets here are in range, so that battalion there that's just moved forward will fire 1 dice at the 2nd Neapolitan unit. Will be a 4, actually hits and disorders. Neapolitans will save on a 3, and they save it, but they are still disordered. The guys in the building only get 2 shots out of each side, so they'll fire at the nearest Neapolitan unit. That one there will be hitting on a 4. 1 hit. Saving for the Neapolitans would be, well, just rolled a 2, so that's failure, so they take a wound. So they will need to do a break test because they're unreliable and wavering. So any casualty they take has a potential to see them run off the table. So this column here is disordered. No, this column here is disordered, and this one took a wound. Put that there. So we're about to do the waiver test, I guess, for the Portuguese or Neapolitans. It's just a straight roll. They rolled a 10, and that is not going to be a problem. So they continue absolutely fine. No more shooting over on. Oops, I picked up some troops here on the foot of the camera. No more shooting in the middle because we've got an ongoing melee. Over here we've got a bit of shooting. The fresh Russians, these will fire. They'll fire on them. This one will fire on them, and this one will fire at them. Only 1 dice each. We'll start with this one on the left hand as we look at French column. It's going to be a 4 to hit. Nope, missed. The Pavlovs firing at the other one will be a 4 to hit. All 1s so far. And the Jaegers firing again will be a 4 to hit. That is a hit, and a disordering hit at that. The French will be saving on a 3, actually down to a 2 because they get cover. They saved it, but they are disordered. So it's a disorder on that block there, and then we're on to the hand-to-hand again. So both sides are disordered. Nobody won the melee, so it's just a straight up roll. So the first up we've got 6 with the, we'll start with the Prussians because it's their turn. They're hitting on a 5 because they're disordered. Only the 1 hit, just 1 hit. The French hitting back will also be hitting on 5s. They get 3 hits. Okay, 3 hits to the French. So the Prussian, see where the Prussian hit goes through. They will be saving on a would-be 4 down to anything but a 1 basically. They save it. No, it's not. It would be a 2. Sorry. And the Prussians will get cover. They take 1 wound. They take 1 wound. So that would be 1-0 in the combat. The Prussians are supported, and so are the French. So it's basically the Prussians lose by 1. Have to do a break test. They've rolled an 8, so that means they are absolutely fine, stayed locked in. However, the French are classed as winning that melee. So next turn they'll get a slight advantage. So we'll put a little arrow there to denote the fact they won the melee. And that is the end of turn 2. So we'll be back with turn 3. Right, so continuing with turn 3. I'm just thinking, it's probably not worth the French over here doing an initiative charge across the river because only one of those 2 battalions can go because this one's disordered, so it has to stay stationary. So don't think we're going to do that. Probably just form them out into line, that one anyway. No more initiative on this side at all. However, the Neapolitans, I think, yeah, these are going to do initiative charge on the buildings here. They can do, it's an automatic if they're within 12 inches, which they are, and these ones are going to follow, going to support them like that. Okay, the other battalion over here can't do anything because it's disordered, so I think that all my initiative moves. So let's go to normal movements then. So we'll start on, no, we're going to start on the other side first of all, because I don't want to waste any re-rolls. So the French column over there is going to try and form out into line, which it does. Rolls exactly what was needed. So it shakes itself out. So they're in line. They can't move anywhere. The others are all in combat. So that's, oh, the rest is artillery. The artillery will move forward one move and unlimber. Rolled a 4. So that they can do. There we go. So let's come back to this brigade down here. They are going to basically get up the table as quick as they can, minus the guns. The guns will wait for a minute. We'll come back to them. But the infantry want to get up the table as quickly as possible and fail. No, actually that's a 10. They get +2 for being in column, don't they? So that is one move. One move. It's the beauty of these Frenchies. That being the artillery, that would have been a failure. But because French infantry get a command bonus for being in attack columns, they can all move, even on a 10. It's bias, I tell you. Bias. So that's that lot, and the remaining battalion there. So in which case the guns are going to attempt to come up and deploy around about there, I think. I'm pointing in an area where you can't see. Going to come forward and deploy about there. They run at 7, which is only one move. So they are slowed by the hedge as well. So they just get to there. So that's them done. However, no failures, no need to use the re-rolls yet. So next up, I'm going to try and bring in the Württembergers. I'm going to bring them up right into the centre area here, centre just basically on the road. They don't have, oh, they have some artillery. The artillery will go with them. They're rolled an 8. That is one move. There you go. The Württembergers have at least arrived on the table. They only get to move 6 inches because of all the terrain, but they're on. They did get a +1 for being in attack columns, but it was only an 8 they rolled, so it still only gave them one move. Moving along to the Neapolitans. This artillery will attempt to just unlimber here, and it fails. Got nothing else really to use the commander re-enrolls, so we'll re-roll with that. This time it successfully does. So the artillery unlimbers there. Not going to do a huge amount from there, but you know, you never know, especially if the Russians start attacking. The only thing left is these 2 battalions, one of which can't do anything because it's disordered. So this one on the end is going to attempt to move, turn into line and move forward. An 8 is a failure, so it stays in column. Because remember, they're unreliable, so even an even actually think about it, it's an 8 goes down to a 7 because they're in column, so that would allow them to do one move. Actually, I've done them out of I've done them a disservice. So this formation just goes straight into a line, which at least means they'll get less fire should the guns turn on them. So that is all the French and French allies move. So we've got shooting to do. I don't think this line is in. Oh, it is. So they'll fire at the guys the column there. We've only got Neapolitan troops firing. Just check their characteristics. So you only get 2 dice of shooting, but they're firing at 4s. No modifier, because although that's a field, it hasn't got any cover to it. It's double 6 with the Neapolitans. They're up for it. Save and roll for the Prussian column is going to be 4. Saves 1, lost 1. And what's more important is they're disordered. I was going to use casualty markers for the casualties, but I'm going to use dots because it's easier to see. Moving back, I suppose this column could fire as well. It's going to be at 5s because it's disordered. Only 1 shot, misses. The cannon back here that have just deployed. What are they going to? I think they're going to have to target the same battalion of infantry. It's only 1 dice. It's going to be 4, range 5, back to 4 for firing at a column. It's another hit. Hit by artillery. Don't save either. So that's 2 hits on that Prussian battalion that's in the ploughed field. There we go. Starting to look a little bit worrying over there for the Prussian. We'll come back to the melee in a minute, and then we've got the French line will fire. Gets 3 shots against the Russian infantry there. It's going to be 5. It's going to be 5s because it'd be 4, but they get cover because it's shooting through all this. 5s to hit. 1 hit. Saving on a 4. Actually be a 3 because they get cover. Which reminds me, so no, it wouldn't have been 5 to hit because it would have been the covers on the defending roll, so it was still only 1 hit, but they did save it. I'll get there in the end. The artillery pieces are now close enough, I think, to fire over the heads of their own troops into that line column there. It's still long range at the moment though, unfortunately, because they are only light guns. Is 1 dice, needing 4, 5 for long range, back to 4 because firing on a column. Throws a 1, misses. So that is all the shooting. Let's go to melees. So the melee here against the Russians against the Prussians against the French. We've got 6 dice each. They're going to be hitting on. French are going to be hitting on 4 disordered, 5 back to 4 because they won the last round. 4s to hit. Ooh, that's a rather, rather tasty roll there. They actually got 5 hits. Ouch. And the Prussians back will also be hitting on, well, be hitting on 5s for them. They got 2 hits. 2 hits versus 5. Right, the Prussians defending. They get 2, 4, 5. 5 dice needing 4s up down to 3s because of the cover. They lost 2 men. And the 2 Prussians hits on the French. Anything but 1s, but they do actually lose a man. So that's 1 Frenchie down and 2 Prussians down. So that puts the Prussians on 4, which is their stamina, so they are now shaken. They also lost the combat by 1 because the French have a support. The Prussians have 1 support. So yeah, Prussians lose by 1 because they lost the combat by 1, and they're also shaken and disordered. They rolled a 6. So 6, they only lose 1 for being disordered. They haven't got any excess casualties yet, but that is a retire 1 full move and go disordered. So basically they drop back because they're slowed by the terrain back to here. The French have pushed the first Prussian unit away from the river. It is now shaken, disordered, and on 4 casualties. There we go. Need to disorder marker on that. Good result for the French. Straight off the bat, went straight in, screaming in, and won. However, the French will have to well, they've still got another battalion there to go in next go if they wanted to, because the one beside them, the one that did the fighting, is what am I trying to say? The one beside it is not shaken, not disordered, so it can move. So we'll go across to the village now. It's an interesting fight against villages. The defenders only get 2 dice, and the Neapolitans, sorry, point. Let's go to the buildings for the next combat. So the defenders only get 2 dice. Neapolitans only get 5 dice in combat. So let's start with Neapolitans. They get 5 dice. They are needing 4, charging 3. So 3. 3 hits. Whoops. 3 hits, and the defenders fighting back. The Fusiliers in there, they only get 2 dice out of the building. Whoops, will be a 4. But it's 2 hits. 2 hits on the. I can't reach that now, but it is a 6 at the back there. So the Prussians in the building, they would be saving on a 4, but they get +2 for the buildings, brings them down to anything but 1s. They lose 1 man. The Neapolitans going in get 2 dice, have taken 2 hits, and they save them both. That's interesting. So the upshot of that, the Prussians lose 1 man. The result of the combat is 1-0 in favour of the Neapolitans. They are supported, so that's 2-0, but that's a level 2 building, which is evens. The Prussians can't be supported by their buddies. Buildings can't be, but they do get an intrinsic defence on the result. So that is a complete draw, and we fight on next turn. Interesting, very interesting. So that is the end of turn 3 for the French. Let's go back to the Allied side. Okay, on to the Russian turn 3. So, I'll take the disorder off that French column now because it didn't do anything last go. That disorder stays on because it was in melee, and the one over the far side I'll take off in a minute when I get there. So, initiative moves. Does this column... it's more than 6 inches, so although it's within initiative charge range of the French there, it doesn't need to because it can't initiative charge across the river because the river slows it to half speed, which is only 6 inches, so therefore they can't actually go anywhere. And these are out of initiative of that, so that's no initiative movements possible over here. Over on this flank, oops, the Prussians here could initiative onto those, but the trouble is they're disordered. So, let's take that disorder off. So it doesn't look like the Prussians have any initiatives at the moment. So we'll start with normal moves, I guess. They can't go anywhere, they can't go anywhere. Guys behind, I'm sort of keeping them back as a reserve if I have to retake the buildings. What I'm going to do then is, I don't think these Prussians are going to do anything this go. I'm just going to try and rally off a casualty off these fellows. They do. So the general comes across to here, takes one of the shock off, which means they are no longer shaken, but it does mean they are still disordered and still have 3 moves. 3 shock. On this wing over here, I think what we're going to do is put the Pavlov Grenadiers into line. So we'll do that. Yep, they do that fine. Like that. The gun battery will behind will unlimber. Whoops. Throw off the table, Tom. Oh. That's fine. Through a 5. So that's a heavy battery deployed. That should cause some fun and games. And then I think what we might do, I'm going to order the Jaeger to move up to the river. No, first of all we're going to start with this Grenadier battalion. It's going to go and plug the gap here. It's going to move up to here in column. A 7 is good enough for 1 move, which is all they really need to do. So they're going to move across to provide some support. To the Prussian infantry. There we go. And then the remaining move of this brigade is the Jaegers, who are going to attempt to, I think they're going to move them up to the flank here. And then we might break them into skirmish. Yeah, I think they're going to move up to the edge of the river and go into skirmish and move forward. So I'll probably need 3 moves to do that. Which by George they get with a 5. So, first move gets them to the edge of the river. They then break into skirmish and move up. Obviously haven't got any skirmish figures, but we'll just assume we know they're in skirmish. Flank has been somewhat plugged so far, but the buildings still look under threat. So with the next brigade the Russians have coming on, they are going to attempt to bring them up behind and to the left of the buildings of the village. Rolls a 7, so that's one move. So the Russians are coming. Now I have to do that individually, don't I? Remember, didn't remind me, folks, that Russians can't do a brigade order. So that'll be the 1st regiment comes on with a 7. 2nd regiment fails with an 8. No, that's passed. That's 1. So that's both of them got 1 move. So that's 2. And then the Jaegers are a separate again. They get 3 moves. Okay, so there's 1 regiment of Russians moved up. This was slightly slowed by the ploughed area. The Jaegers in the centre, and then the other regiment of Russian infantry. So that's both sides have got all formations on the table now. So we'll move to Prussian and Russian shooting, I think. Try and put the camera down without breaking any troops. The artillery, they've got a choice of shots here. Actually, the line is closer, so they have to fire at the line. It's just beyond half range, so it's still only 1 dice, but it is in the open, so it is a 4 to hit. So miss with a 2. The Prussian infantry, might as well leave that there. Prussian infantry will fire. Oh no, they can't fire into that because that's an ongoing. They're supporting the melee, so they have to fire straight forward at the column. Will be 3 dice. Disordered, so it's a 5. 2 hits on the Neapolitans. Saving on a Neapolitans don't have such good stamina, such good save rolls. They save on a 3. No, 5. But they're in a column, brings them down to 4. Save 1, lost 1. We'll take the disorder off them. It is, however, going to be a shake test for the Neapolitans because they're wavering. So whenever they take a loss, they have to take a morale check. A double 1. A double 1. And that Neapolitan unit goes night night. Thank you very much. I don't want to know. And breaks and runs. Oh dear. First outing for the Neapolitans, and they're off. With only 1 loss. Wow. So they are gone. So a very useful volley from the Prussians. As I'm working across, I'll do the combats. I think that makes sense. So the combat here in the middle was a flat draw, wasn't it? Nobody won, nobody lost. Actually no, because of the building, it gave the gave the Prussians a draw. So we have an ongoing fight. We have 5 for the Neapolitans. Rolling on that. They will be hitting on a 4. They get 2 wounds on the Prussians. Prussians get 2 back, hitting on 4s. Do nothing. So 2 saving rolls for the Prussians. Save 1, lost 1. So lose another man. And that will be so you lose by 1. The French are supported again. It's going to be a flat draw, no result. But the Neapolitans are sticking it to them in there, that's for sure. Right, so moving on, we've got the Prussian line that was pushed back in combat last turn. We'll fire at the guys it was fighting last turn. So we get 3 shots. We are disordered. which means they're hitting on 5s. Oh, 1 hit, 2 hits and a disorder. Wow. So the French will retain their disorder. Well, they're already disordered, so it doesn't really matter too much. They took 2 hits, but because of passage, no effect. Moving across, the Russian column that's moved forward will fire at actually fire at the line, the French line that's there. It only gets 1 shot. We'll be hitting on a 4, throws a 5, so that's a hit. The French saving roll will be 3 because they get cover there, but they do fail. So that is 1 wound on those French. Moving across, we have the artillery of Unlimbered. Well, it would seem churlish of them not to fire straight at that column that's right in front of them. That is a heavy gun, so that is definitely going to be effective range. It's only a half position battery, so it's just 2 dice. They will be hitting on a 4 column, so it's 4, firing at a column makes it 3, but firing overhead, I forgot to add that in last time, is 4. So a 4 to hit with 2 shots. Try and put it somewhere you can actually see it. Ha! A 1 and a 2. Absolutely nothing. So next thing along will be the Pavlovs, who will fire at the column. No, they'll fire at the line, I think. They got the choice. 3 shots will be hitting on a... let me just double check my shooting isn't poor. No, just 3 shots hitting on a 4. Got 1 hit. Now saving... Didn't save. Even if that had been the column, he rolled a 1 and it wouldn't have been a saving roll. So 1 more on that line, now up to 2. And then the Jaegers, who moved into the woods, the wooded river here, will fire onto the column. We got 3 shots. 3 shots, needing 4. Well, actually, they're in close range there, I think. So, yeah, the bulk of the unit is in short range. So it's a 4 to hit down to a 3 to hit. All 3 hits, including a disorder. Nasty. Throws 3 saves for the column. They do get a plus for being in column, however. They still lose 1, but more importantly, they're disordered, because that means they can't really go anywhere. So that is the end of Russian and Prussian turn. That's turn 3 over with. I think we might take a pause. I will update this or put this up onto YouTube. I'm not sure there's much anybody can come up with in terms of alternative tactics at the moment, but if you want to suggest actions for different for the different commands, please feel free. As I say, I think it doesn't matter if you don't know Black Powder. By all means, just say we'll swing the attack of that column onto, or that brigade onto that part of the line, that kind of stuff. So anyway, let's give a quick flyby of what's the situation. So we have over here the French initial attack, which came steamrolling down their left flank, the Russian right flank, smashed into the one of the Prussian defending battalions, pushed it back off the river, but just in the nick of time, the Grenadiers arrive and have well and truly stymied the attack by the French. They've got the heavy battery sitting here on a hill. You've got a column of Grenadiers and a line of Grenadiers, and then Jaegers in the river, and their targets there. The French column is disordered, the line's taken 2 losses. Over here the middle column's perfectly intact, but the other one is disordered, so it won't be able to move next go. The Prussians down here They aren't disordered anymore because they stood still this turn, so, but they are on 3 losses. The reserve Russian infantry brigade has come on at the back here. Probably just in time, as the Prussians started to take some losses. The guys in the village have got 2 losses to 0 against the Neapolitans, which is a real surprise. Actually, no, tell a lie. The Neapolitans have got 1 loss, but they're holding on. In the ploughed field, there's another Prussian battalion which is down to 2 losses. The gun has been completely ineffective. But the Neapolitans did lose one of their regiments to a bad morale check, and that has pulled back off the run off the table. So they've only got 3 left in that brigade. On the French side of the table, we've got the gun battery here. We've got the reserve French brigade coming on here. So there's a decision for anybody who wants to play the French. Do they continue to support the left, or do they swing and go after the village? That's a choice. You got the Württembergers have just arrived. They turned up a turn late. Again, they've got a choice. Do they continue where they're lined up against to go straight for the village, or do they swing left or right? Got a surfeit of guns. I think if the Neapolitans don't get the village this turn, I'd be tempted to put all the batteries lined up and just have a bit of a try and soften up the village before the Württembergers go in. But you know, that's a suggestion, because you've got 1 battery here, another battery there, and another battery there, so you could potentially put 3 batteries onto that village and soften it up a bit. And over here on this wing, as you saw from the other side, the Neapolitans have lost a battalion, but actually have stood up pretty well. This battalion's untouched, this battalion's untouched, this one's only taken 1 loss. So, you know, sticking at it. So there you go, that's where we are so far at the end of turn 3. I'll take a break. I'll post this up. Usual rules apply. If you wish to make a suggestion, please just put French, whatever you want the French to do. Russians or Prussians, whatever you want them to do, just so I know what you're talking about. I hope you enjoyed the first few turns. If you did, please give it a like, share, do all the good stuff, you know, subscribe if you haven't already done so, and I will see you again soon. This is Dom, signing out.